it's fantastic to see that also consumers are really stepping up or demanding these types of information. But I can fully agree that there's more stakeholders out there. Investors are doing the same. It's going beyond ESG. It's about really SDG measurements. So it's not only from the risks perspective, but very much what value is created. And I'm going to give a little bit more technical perspective to that, but hopefully bring it lightly, because indeed we've done a big research on this for 350 companies, and there are many indexes and benchmarks out there, but we've tried to really harmonize everything what is out there. So we didn't want to bring new metrics to the table, but working on the specialist work of, for example, Access to Nutrition Index, GRI, but also the CFS RI principles. There's so many fragmented, really good work, and that is a bit of a potential risk in this, that it really there should be consensus about what is measured and how it is measured. Usually companies would want to take that in their own hands, and every company just reports on which is most favorable to them. So that is the role that we at the World Benchmarking Alliance try to play. So we're a non-profit. We're funded by governments and philanthropic institutions. So all our work, I'll put the report in the chat. We've just launched our report on Tuesday. All our findings are freely accessible to everyone. And so we're very keen to work together with the team about the Omni Framework and the Omni label to really just make sure that the data is used and the methodology can be used by others as well. So we've comprised everything that's out there, made it applicable to companies across the value chain, because indeed there are many consumer-facing companies, but for systemic change, we really need change across the board. And we've seen actually that there are leaders from every segment of the value chain. There are leaders in agriculture input, in commodity trade, in retail, in food and beverage manufacturers, but there's very, very few. If you look at, why did we assess 350 companies? It's because they represent over half of global revenue. They employ over 23 million people. So they're really change makers in that system. And unfortunately, the research did find that the large majority is lacking behind. Just to give you an example, there's only from the 350, there's just 26 companies that are aligning their greenhouse gas reduction emissions to the Paris Agreement. There's around 80% of companies that are not working towards making healthy foods more accessible and more affordable. Indeed, there's over 3 billion people in the world that cannot afford a healthy diet. So that's really a big problem to be able to promote and not have health come at a premium. And then finally, in these social matters, still child labor, forced labor, we know that the agricultural sector is a high risk sector. We know also the ILO has had these frameworks around for over 10 years. We know how companies can really make sure that there's firm action to eliminate these practices and that there's regular checks following that up. So we've looked at that as well. And there's really, really dramatic results. And a lot of companies need to step up their efforts. But we hope that by having a clear metrics, which is independent and really applicable to all companies, that you have an independent monitoring and you have a comparable data as well, and to feed that in. So our research focused on company levels, but we know also through partners in this work as well, it could be translated for product levels. So there's many ways of using work that is already out there and freely accessible to everyone, and just really combining all of these efforts to make sure that consumers, but also other stakeholders, companies themselves can really promote on what they're already doing voluntarily, and how they're making sure that their supply chain remains safe for their workers and suppliers, but also sustainable and healthy, and that they're really producing nutritious products along the way. So I'm really excited to work together with all of these partners. And I guess the Food Systems Summit also provided so much momentum that this will really kickstart a lot of work.